Hello, hello, the doc is in. We are back with another chapter review. Today we're looking at Tokyo Revengers, chapter 246, Giant Killing. Coming off the last chapter, basically what happened was the fight between Kanto Manji Gang and almost said Tokyo Revengers. Tokyo Manji Gang was just getting started, and Takemichi and Kikucho were going at it. Kikucho laid on the hands, as per the usual, as expected from Kikucho. He's up there. But then, Takemichi, as a complete upset to literally everyone in the universe, in the Tokyo Revengers universe, and in real life, we're completely surprised to see Takemichi effectively knock Kikucho out in one hit. One punch, alright? I know I pay attention to One Punch Man and everything, and Saitama's the GOAT or whatever, but I don't know, somebody else would come for his title, because in Takemichi, he looking a little tripped out, and he over here throwing hands like that. But that's basically what happens in the last chapter, and now let's get into the new chapter. So we started off with Takemichi looking cool as hell, and Kikucho basically just lying on the floor. He's not like knocked out or anything, but he's kind of just like laying there. He's just like, I just took this hit, and I'm just down. And we get a little bit more reactions. We basically get like, a little scene where more people just kind of like reacting to like Takemichi knocking out Kikucho. It's just like everybody's just like, what in the world? This is not what we were expecting. This is not supposed to be it, but it isn't. This is our life now. And so basically, after like the big page reaction, we have Chifuyu and the various captains basically kind of giving their own personal reaction. But then we kind of get like the author kind of like referencing the fact that like the last chapter seems like such an upset, but they're kind of like referencing the fact that he's always been strong. Like it's always been hinted at the fact that he's kind of beastly in his own right, and everybody's basically hyping up all of the Tomen Generation 2. They're also like, if our captain's out here doing the work, you gotta get out here and start throwing hands too. Everybody's getting hyped, and the fight goes off. Chifuyu's knocking some rando out. We got Smiley and Angry knocking some people out. We got Kai and Mitsuya knocking people out. It's going crazy. It's pandemonium. But again, it's what Tomen does. Each one of them just knocking out fools left and right. It's just how it goes. We have an interesting not upset, but we have an interesting set of panels of Paeon and Pachin showing off their abilities and strength, and the fact that Pachin's able to knock out like who even knows how many, let's say 10 dudes. He knocks out 10 dudes with a solid tackle. And it's like when you think back to when Pachin was in like the very beginning of Tokyo Revengers, it's like he has this one fight he kind of like loses pretty badly, but it's still kind of like suggests that he's pretty strong in his own right, even though we don't really get to see it. And I feel like this is like a good, not callback, but kind of like a good showing of him, like having that strength and actually being able to like pull stuff off. And this is a pretty nice feat. I appreciate this. We have Anupi basically being an anime character and taking out mad people on his own. We get like basically he's like running at a crowd of dudes running at him. He calls them trash. We get a little look away, and we come back to him, and everybody's knocked out. He's just kind of like got like a crazy pose above them. It's like too easy. All right, this as aiming as hell. This is just aiming as hell. I mean, I know it's the manga or whatever, but that's aiming as hell. And we got Senju counting up people she's knocking out, kicking them in the face, taking people out one by one. She's saying she's about to go for 100 people. And I'm like, go for it, queen, go for it. And while all this is going on, we cut back to Kikucho laying down on the floor. And Mikey walks up to him. And basically he's like, taking a nap or something? What's going on, Kikucho? What happened to the boy who, took out everybody, the big honcho on the court from Tenjuku? What happened to that? He is laying there, silent, staring off into the sky. And he's like, and basically Mikey's like, did he die for this? Die for you to be laying on the floor taking naps in the middle of a fight? And so Kikucho's like, you'll never understand. And so then he gets up And he's basically like, my body was burning up, so I had to cool down a little. I'm like, okay, maybe he was a little bit too excited. He hopped in a little bit too much energy. You gotta cool your nerves a little bit to be at the perfect level, And he gets up, he starts walking off, and he hits a sprint. He goes through Chifuyu, sends that man flying, runs through Angry and Smiley, sends them flying too, comes right into Takemichi, screams his name, and throws a nice heavy. Takemichi is able to block in time, but he's sent flying. But he's still standing. Kikucho's punch didn't have the same effect as Takemichi's, but that was definitely a solid punch. And so basically, Kikucho's like, to end off the chapter, Kikucho's like, oh, that face, I remember that face. That's the face of the hero that I remember as from it being a child. And again, Takemichi's looking tripped out as hell. I mean, And so, what it looks like is like, Kikucho and Takemichi's fight is not over, which kind of makes sense. I mean, it would be kind of crazy. Well, I guess it wouldn't be crazy because Takemichi has to fight Mikey. So, him knocking out Kikucho immediately kind of would be like, oh, get straight to the Mikey fight. But it seems like that fight's not over. It seems like we're still going to have some Kikucho versus Takemichi either way. And I'm looking forward to it. It seems like, Kikucho's back on his feet. He's prepped now. He's like, the hero from the past. He's back up and running. He's kind of strong. So, you gotta work with this. And it seems like Takemichi's not planning on backing down, because of course he's not. So, that's what we got to look forward to next week. Assuming there's a chapter next week. I heard that Shonen Jump is supposed to go on a break next week, I think. But don't quote me on that. I'm not for sure. But, great chapter. Enjoyed it quite a bit. For predictions, like I said, my prediction for next week is just that Kikucho and Takemichi are going to have their fight. We're going to see them go back and forth. We're going to really get a full-on back and forth this time around. It seems like Mikey still has no interest in really hopping in at this point, seeing as he got Kikucho to get back up to fight, not in his stead, but to do his job in essence. So for the time being, I suppose Mikey's staying out of the fight. And as for everybody else, I'm impressed with their showings, but it kind of makes sense. Like I said, a 550 fight matchup for Toman, that usually just means everybody in Toman has to show off 1,001%, and they are. They're dropping fools like they're nothing, and I'm here for it. Anyway, I think that concludes this chapter very nicely. If you like, leave a like. If you dislike, drop a dislike. Comment if you want to. Subscribe if you're feeling generous. The doc is out. Peace.